Welcome to Top 30. I'm Richard Bacon.
And I'm Kristen Smith. And here are your top 30 stories in 30 minutes.
Major cell phone carriers in the US could start raising prices on plans. The Wall Street Journal reports Sprint and T-Mobile are changing the plans that they offer. Until now, the companies were considered the most aggressive in offering discounts. It was a way to lure business away from the larger AT&T and Verizon. T-Mobile is the third biggest carrier in the United States. They began raising prices last year and now say they will offer fewer deals and discounts. Instead, they plan to grow by adding service in new areas. Sprint is the number 4 carrier. The company has higher customer turnover than the others because people leave when the discounts and promotions they signed up for expire. Sprint now says it will only pursue customers it considers profitable. With all carriers at roughly the same price point, all of them have less reason to offer discounts.
If you've been watching the Olympic figure skating, you may have noticed something different this year. This is the first time single and pair figure skaters have been allowed to perform using music with lyrics. And I hope you're a Moulin Rouge fan because the soundtrack stands as the top choice for skaters, with 5 programs using the songs like Come What May. Other popular choices are hits from the Romeo and Juliet soundtrack, Despacito, and Coldplay's Paradise. And the Leonard Cohen classic Hallelujah will be used in 3 programs. One is using the Jeff Buckley version, while the other 2 are going with Katie Lang's cover.
It goes like this, the 4th, the 5th, the minor fall, and the major lift.
So now you can watch and sing along.
Let's go to the New York Stock Exchange for our Fox Business Minute with your friend and mine, Nicole Pedalides. Nicole, I am hearing that there is bad news for fans of Disney's theme parks.
That's right, Richard. The happiest place on earth is about to get a little more expensive. Disney has increased admission prices for its theme parks in Florida and in California for peak days. The company said the price hikes were aimed at preventing overcrowding on popular days. Lincoln's new luxury SUV is really popular, so much so that Ford is spending $25 million to upgrade the factory that builds it with 400 robots and 3D printing technology. The idea being that faster assembly lines will be better able to keep up with demand for the Navigator and Expedition SUVs. Orange juice sales are up for the first time in nearly 5 years. That's thanks to the brutal flu season.
Nicole, can we expect this trend to last?
Analysts don't seem to think so. It turns out consumers are more health conscious and don't want the excess sugar and carbs found in OJ and are instead going for healthier options such as flavored water and blended beverages like smoothies.
Nicole on the New York Stock Exchange, thank you. Kristen, you're talking about a lesser-known gender bias.
Yeah, Richard, we all know there's a glass ceiling for women in business and politics, but what if it also extended to the animal kingdom? The Westminster Kennel Club Dog Show will crown this year's Best in Show on February 13th. And since the competition began in 1907, female dogs have won the top prize a total of 39 times, but male dogs have won it 71 times. That's nearly twice as often. The reason? Well, according to breeder Kimberly Kalvaka, dogs are in prime competition age when they're between 3 and 5 years old. But that's the same time when female dogs are in prime breeding age. And often a female show dog will retire after winning in competition to breed and produce litters. That's exactly what happened with Rumor, a beautiful German Shepherd who won Best in Show last year. So it looks like female dogs, just like female humans, have to jump over extra hurdles to achieve the same as men.
Driver's licenses could be the next thing to go digital. At least 7 states are currently developing, testing, or considering moving to a digital driver's license. The digital ID would be available through an app on your phone and have similar information to what a typical license has now: name, address, date of birth, and a picture. But it would also have a barcode which would allow real-time checks of information when scanned, and also be a way to update the information if necessary. The company developing the app says you'd need a fingerprint or code to access the license, so it would be secure. But some are concerned about hackers being able to access your information or the app, potentially cultivating information about you and selling it to companies. So if the tests in 7 states show that digital licenses provide convenience and security, don't be surprised to eventually reach for your phone when you have to show your ID.
Meijer grocery stores have recalled 6 of their branded yogurt flavors in all of their stores after a customer found shards of glass in one. The following yogurt products with an expiration date of March 8, 2018 are being recalled. And after Kim Cottrell's brother unexpectedly passed away, her Sex and the City co-star Sarah Jessica Parker expressed sympathy during a red carpet interview. Cottrell wasn't having it and posted this Instagram message to Parker over the weekend, saying, "I don't need your love or support at this tragic time." She went on to say, "You are not my family. You are not my friend. So I'm writing to tell you one last time to stop exploiting our tragedy in order to restore your nice girl persona." And finally, history was made when Mirai Nagasu nailed this triple axel.
Yeah, she has to go right up and do it. Yeah!
She became the first American female skater to successfully land a triple axel during Olympic competition. Just incredible.
30 to 40 White House officials and administration appointees are working without full security clearance. This according to CNN. The issue came to the forefront with the resignation of White House Staff Secretary Rob Porter. He stepped down after 2 ex-wives accused him of domestic abuse, but he denied the allegations. As White House Staff Secretary, he was handling highly classified documents and interacting with the president without the appropriate full security clearance. The Washington Post says sources familiar with the process argued these types of backlogs are very unusual and should have been completed after a year in office. Critics say people who haven't been given full security clearance could have issues that make them subject to blackmail. The White House says they can't discuss specifics, but blames the delay on the security review process, explaining it can take time to complete. A kidnapping cold case is back in the news because a woman who kidnapped an infant from a Florida hospital in 1998 was finally captured. However, the kidnapped child she raised as her own daughter doesn't want the only mother she has ever known to go to prison, which is why this is such a gripping story.
It is.
The girl who was kidnapped has given a statement and wrote to her mum. Her mum is being held at the moment. And this happened in 1998, didn't it? It was after 19 years that they got a tip-off on this. And she said, "I just want everything to go back to normal. I want you home. I need you home. I love you no matter what. There is nothing or no one who can change that."
You have to remember, in 1998, this woman posed as a nurse in scrubs, walked into a hospital room where a 16-year-old mother has her newborn baby, said the baby had a fever, took the baby, and never returned.
That's an amazing bit of the story, isn't it? She dressed as a nurse and went in and got the...
It's like, we cannot forget that. And in this country, you do the crime, you should do the time.
Well, you're right. You have to set an example, but the sort of the sentimental human inside me just thinks, I would do what she wanted, but that won't happen. And it's a moral, ethical, and legal minefield.
All right, Ashley Madison released a new survey that helps break down why people cheat. And 65% of the 2018 people surveyed said sex is the primary reason they stray from their partner. 44% say they're looking for affection, and 42% blame a need for friendship.
I mean, it has to be about sex, otherwise it is just a friendship. Like, obviously.
By definition,
just your mate. Look, I am a big fan of Ashley Madison.
He's kidding.
I am kidding. It's a fairly sordid idea. It has 54 million members, and I think long-term marriages are one of the most interesting things in all of the world. Studies have shown that when you fancy someone, when it's new, that comes from one part of the brain, and relating to someone longer term comes from a different part of the brain, and you just naturally miss that overwhelming feeling of really fancying someone and really being in love. Cheating is basically human nature.
And I believe that's why a wise person once said, love is a drug. Or was that Kesha? Seriously, though, I understand what you're saying. Therapists agree the best way to beat cheating, to stay faithful, is to communicate, tackle the intimacy issue, and also to find ways to rediscover each other. And that's not an easy thing to do.
That's great. And failing all that, go to Ashley Madison. I love your disapproving look. I really enjoy it. Okay, 35 years ago, the song Africa by Toto became a #1 hit in the US. But here's the thing. The man behind the song, keyboardist Dave Pace, had never been to Africa when he wrote it.
This is such a funny story.
It's a genuinely funny story. It's a love story. He'd heard a lot about Africa. He went to a Catholic school. A lot of his teachers had been to Africa as missionaries, and so he imagined a love story. Is that such a bad thing? Had Shakespeare been to Italy when he wrote Romeo and Juliet?
I think the funniest thing about this is that the lyrics are so specific. Like, this is a legit love affair from afar. Some of the lyrics: the wild dogs cry out in the night as they grow restless, longing for some solitary company. Like, that's some heartfelt stuff. What do you know about the wild dogs, dude?
Let's end on this quote. Toto's lead guitarist, Steve Lukather, explained that the first time he heard the song, Dave, man, Africa, we're from North Hollywood. What the are you writing about? I bless the rains down in Africa. Are you Jesus, Dave? Top 30 will be right back.
In today's Hometown Stories from Fox 4 Dallas, life has been difficult for the Law family ever since their 10-year-old son, Tristan, was diagnosed with a rare genetic brain disorder. Their new normal is traveling back and forth from Texas to Pittsburgh for Tristan's treatments. But some volunteers and local businesses have made their Fort Worth house an extra special place to come home to. Their house got a major makeover, complete with new bedrooms, a modified bathroom, and a therapy room for Tristan's treatments. Tristan's bedroom was decorated with his favorite things, Legos and Batman, and his smile says it all. In our second story from Fox 10 Phoenix, Brandy Williams' son, Logan, was diagnosed with autism 3 months before his 3rd birthday. Logan sometimes exhibited aggressive behavior, but all of that changed after his parents decided to give him medical marijuana treatments. Now Brandy is the state chapter president of the group Mamas, or Mothers Advocating Medical Marijuana for Autism. And she's trying to change the law in Arizona so that autism is added as a qualifying condition for medical cannabis. In our final story from Fox 13 Tampa Bay, 17-year-old Bradley French just received the Girl Scout Gold Award, the highest honor a Girl Scout can achieve. She first joined the Girl Scouts when she was in kindergarten. Now she volunteers at a local elementary school and teaches the kids about archaeology, which she hopes to study in college next year. Her dedication, service, and leadership prove the Girl Scouts are about so much more than just those delicious cookies.
Millennials make up the largest generational group in the American workforce, and a new study reveals some unique information about the gender pay gap among them. A payroll company called Paychex focused on small business workers and based the results on data from its 350,000 clients. The study found that females made about $2.59 less per hour than males with comparable jobs. So a gender pay gap still exists, but it is smaller compared to other age groups. But researchers say the alarming part of the study is that the salaries will grow more unequal as these millennials age. Males have an hourly wage growth rate of 6.2% compared to 5.3% for their female counterparts. And this holds true for all of the 8 major job categories they studied.
You know all that daydreaming you do? Well, it could actually be making you smarter. Cody Goff, host of the Curiosity podcast, joins us from his studio. Cody?
Thanks, Kristen. We all daydream, right? I mean, who hasn't thought about winning the lottery or becoming a rock star? Well, a new study has some good news. Daydreaming might actually be good for you. Researchers put more than 100 subjects in an MRI machine while testing their intelligence and creative juices. And the most intelligent subjects ended up being the ones who said they daydream the most. Basically, the scan showed that when your brain is bored, it can tune out and use just a little bit of brain power to snap back into reality when something important comes up. According to one of the study's co-authors, people with efficient brains might have too much brain capacity to stop their minds from wandering. All that brain power that isn't being used is just thinking about unrelated stuff. Oh, and it's not just that your brain might be more efficient if you daydream. Daydreaming might give your brain a workout and help it get better, faster, and stronger. A 2012 study found that daydreaming was linked to a stronger working memory, and more daydreaming seemed to make it even stronger. So dream on. Kristen?
Well, I think you just gave us permission to keep our head in the clouds, and I appreciate that. Thanks, Cody. You can check out more on Curiosity.com.
Airlines in the United States bumped fewer people off flights in 2017 than ever before. Getting bumped off a plane became a hot topic when a doctor was forcibly dragged off a United flight after refusing to give up his seat last year. Obviously, that was an extreme case, but Bloomberg reports 22,223 people had tickets to a flight last year but were denied boarding. That's about 0.34%, which is almost half the level of 2016. The airline with the lowest rate, Delta, at just 0.05%. Spirit Airlines was the highest with 0.82% of passengers bumped. The main reason passengers got bumped is because airlines overbooked flights and didn't have room. But whatever reason they give doesn't stop getting bumped being intensely annoying.
Chelsea Haley unexpectedly became a single mother at 24. In 2013, she began working with Teach for America in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and quickly became the only one who could get through to a defiant fourth grader named Jerome Robinson. She said in an interview, at certain points, his behavior got so bad, I thought, I can't do this anymore. I can't be a teacher. Jerome and his younger brother Jace lived in poverty, split part-time with their grandparents and birth mother. After a couple of years working with Jerome, Haley said the two formed an unlikely bond and says, he just asked me if he could live with me. I told him I had been feeling the same. But Haley was planning to further her teaching career with a move to Georgia. So she met with the boy's mother, who told her, you can go, but I want you to take Jerome and Jace with you. So she did. In December 2015, she met the guidelines to become legal guardians to the boys and has since adopted both of them. Now 26, Haley says, I wouldn't trade this for anything. What a beautiful story of a beautiful family. Crawfish are the southern seafood people long for all year, and Coco Dominguez from Fox 26 in Houston has some facts and tips about the Louisiana favorite.
Think of crawfish as lobster's smaller cousin. They're found in freshwater bayous. More than 90% of all the crawfish sold nationwide comes from Louisiana. Crawfish didn't catch on in popularity until the 1950s, when the Cajun craze quickly spread through Louisiana and along the Gulf Coast. You can find crawfish year-round, but the best time to munch on these is during the spring and summer months. The peeling process can get messy, but that's half the fun. Crawfish is usually sold by the pound, and it takes quite a bit to fill you up, so don't be shy when ordering a batch.
Coco, I lived in Miami once, and I fell in love with crawfish. So if you're at home watching and you haven't tried it, I highly recommend it. Thanks, Coco. Canada's really taken the whole legalizing marijuana thing and running with it. The country is planning to launch the world's first beers brewed with cannabis plant. Weed beer, if you will. A company called Province Brands filed a provisional patent last July to make the cannabis-infused drinks. They will be the first company to produce beers brewed entirely from the cannabis plant. PB says the product will be, quote, alcohol-free, yet highly intoxicating. They also claim the drinks will be low in calories and sugar and gluten-free. The company's CEO thinks it's worth mentioning that Province Brands isn't a tobacco company, which are the ones expected to lead the way in all things marijuana. Canada was the first country in the world to legalize medical marijuana in 2001, and recreational weed is legal this summer. The cannabis beers are expected to be made legal as early as 2019.
Soon there could be new drugs to treat the flu. It is the worst flu season in a decade. The acting director of the Centers for Disease Control says, we don't know if we have hit the peak yet. There are just 3 flu treatments approved by the FDA. The most popular, Tamiflu, has been available for nearly 20 years. It's also in short supply. Bloomberg reports that a new drug is being tested by Japanese company Shionogi. It requires just 1 pill and keeps the flu virus from replicating inside its host. The company hopes it will be tested in the US this year. Janssen has 2 new drugs to test. One also works by keeping the flu from copying itself. Another was originally developed to fight parasites. Johnson & Johnson is also attempting to develop the holy grail of flu treatments, a universal vaccine. It would eliminate the need for a different flu shot to be made each and every year. Doctors say this flu season highlights the urgent need for more treatments.
Team USA is sending more athletes to the Winter Olympics than any country ever. There are 242 athletes representing the U.S., and more than 40% of them come from just 5 states. Colorado is number 1 with 31 athletes, followed by California, Minnesota, New York, and Utah. They tend to live where it's easiest to train for the Winter Games, but Olympians come from all over. Even though New York is on the list, none of this year's Olympians are from the city. Coaches and athletes say that's due to a lack of facilities and schools that support winter athletes. You need cheap snow and ice, and one trainer says nothing in New York is cheap. Not every member of Team USA was born here. They're only required to be a national. Speed skater Thomas Hong was born in South Korea. Skier Gus Kenworthy is British. Lauren Ross is from Alberta, Canada. The Winter Games will also be more diverse. There are 108 women, the most of any American Winter Olympic team. To find out which Olympians are from your hometown, visit the Top 30 Facebook page. Hey, Richard, what's coming up on our next show?
Kristen, we're talking about a shortage of doctors. Despite a deadly flu season this year, patients are waiting longer to see physicians. And one of the most popular toys ever made started as an after-work project for this NASA engineer. Top 30 covers more of the day's stories live on Facebook daily, 9:30 Pacific, 12:30 Eastern. See you next time on Top 30.